Hello everyone, we are going to update the visual leaderboard. If you don't remember, 2 years ago we took all of the sub 5 Super Mario Bros. Speedrunners and put them all into one video, and we're going to do it again because we have a unique opportunity now with Nifsky's mid 454. It'll be just him ahead of everyone else for the second half of the game, so I think that's going to look awesome. And like I mentioned in the last video, we are doing everything open source. So there are 2 repositories linked in the description. One for the tool which we use, Graphite. This allows us to recreate Super Mario Bros. 1 speedruns, and I'll show a little of that later in the video, as well as the scripts that I use, one for like scraping speedrun.com and resizing the videos and so on. But I would really appreciate your help, and we need your help in recreating some of these speedruns. I'll show you how to do it in this video. If you have any sort of experience with Super Mario Bros. 1, it's not that bad, and actually it can be quite fun and rewarding. But first of all, a big thank you to everyone who has helped out so far. We've already recreated a bunch, and of course we have some that are left over from last time. There's only about 100 to go, but you can help us by recreating them, and let me show you how. One of the great things about transitioning to an open source model of development is that people can help me out and show me things that I had no idea even existed. So Avi NL and Cook IT set up continuous integration on the Graphite repository, and now all I have to do is click a button and it spins up a Windows and Linux virtual machine in order to build the releases and put them right there. So that's your first step. Go to the GitHub repository linked below and download the appropriate executable for your operating system. Then you're going to want to unzip it, and you'll find an executable and a couple of DLLs. Now you have a couple of more steps. First, you have to get out your copy NES or your INL dumper and dump out a ROM of Super Mario Bros. If you know of an easier way of getting these ROMs, don't tell me. This is the only way, and this is the only way that we can talk about, okay? So plop that ROM right into the directory next to the executable, and you're good to go. Now you need to sign up for a run that you want to recreate. So you have to join the Discord, navigate in the announcements or to the appropriate channel, find the spreadsheet, and put your name down for the run that you want to do. On the column right next to where you put your name, you can download the video. Now these videos have to be processed. So I went ahead and I processed all of the videos, identifying where the game footage is and using the scripts, which are in the other repository, to resize the runs, even the CRTs, even the switches, and put them all into these nice 256 by 240 videos. That's all that Graphite works with at this point in time. So put your name in, grab the video, and now you're ready to go. So now with our ROM, our video, and Graphite all set up and good to go, you should be able to just double click it and it'll pop up this screen. It'll automatically read that video file, set up an emulator for you. And your first step is to set up the sync. Okay, let's get started here. There are instructions as well that are noted somewhere, but basically you have an emulator on the left and you have a video player on the right, and the way to get around is by putting your mouse over top of something and scrolling. So you can see as I scroll down, I'm scrolling through the video here because my mouse is over here, or I could scroll through the emulator by putting it over here. Now, depending on the frames per second of the video, they might be doing the same thing, but normally not because an NES runs at a little faster than 60 frames a second. So we go back to the beginning of our video, and our first thing to do is they should have been sort of timed so that it starts kind of right before the run, but you might have to verify this. But we can see right there that the console was just reset in the video. So if I hit reset here, then it sets this sync value in order to synchronize them together. But we can see that this runner is using the Super Mario Bros. Duck Hunt cartridge, which of course a lot of people do because it makes it a little bit easier. Just for getting runs started like consistently, but we are only using the original Super Mario Bros. ROM here, so we actually need to time our reset for this point where they hit start on to get into Super Mario Bros. So I'm actually going to hit reset here, and you can see my sync value. So now we scroll through slowly, and we see kind of looks like I did pretty well, but this one pops up, you can see a frame earlier. So my video and my emulator are not quite synced. So I can use these buttons here in order so that they all show up at the same time. And we can see that Mario shows up on the left, but not on the right. So that means that what they did is that they hit start right away. So I can come over here and just hit start, right? So I'm hitting start in the emulator on frame 33, and everything kind of seems synchronized. Now it's really, really, really important that you set the synchronize really well. Now you can fiddle with it a little bit here and there in order to make things line up throughout while you're recreating, but only about 1 or 2 frames, just to make things easier to work with. You have to set the sync at the beginning and then go with that throughout the rest of your recreation. So now let's get started on the recreation. So like I said, you've probably already read the instructions, I'm sure, but I'm just going to show you something. So I'm going to set up B and right. That's what everyone does. And then I'm just going to scroll down B and right for about 18,000 frames. The thing is, we're trying to recreate the run, but the button presses don't have to be exactly correct. It's just that, the outcomes have to be the same. So even if they weren't holding B and right throughout the whole game, I'm just going to set it up that way just because that makes it a little bit easier for me. And then once I got enough, I hit back up here, scroll to target, and now I am ready to go. And so what I do is I normally have my left hand over top of the keys, because we have some hotkeys here, mainly on 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I just start scrolling through. So you can see that what's happening on the left is happening on the right, but then in the video they jumped, and I of course never put in a jump yet, so I have to do that. So I go back to the frame when the jump happens. I use the hotkey 3, which puts an A press 2 frames behind where you are, and then I can scroll through. Now, obviously they're jumping higher than I am, but it can be kind of hard because you're moving your eyes back and forth to try and figure that out. So we have this nice little overlay here, and I can plop the emulator on top of the video, or the edges from the emulator on top of the video, and I can see that I obviously need to jump higher to match up with what's happening in the video. So I'm just going to hit the hotkey 5, which extends the last jump until it gets to the right spot. Oh, need to extend it more, so I'll just press 5 a few more times, or I can hold it or whatever. So okay, here we go. So now I just begin the process of scrolling through the video and the emulator and recreating the button presses. Now, depending on the sorry, I should probably focus on what I'm doing. Depending on the video quality, this might go pretty well, or it might go pretty terribly. And so it can take a lot of time. It looks like I got lucky. I grabbed a 60 frames per second video, relatively high quality, and so no big deal. So I'm really just using the hotkeys here and scrolling around and using a combination of 3 and 5. 4 shrinks the jump, whereas 5 extends it, and 1 and 2 make it happen earlier or later. All the hotkeys are documented, and I kind of make my way through here. So I'm making my way through 1. Oh, it looks like it went down. It's kind of fun because you get a really good idea of what everyone does in their runs. And yeah, okay, so then they start pressing down. So don't have a hotkey for that setup, so I'm just gonna add some down presses over here. And one of the things I made the emulator really I tried to make it really set up for this kind of thing. So it'll try and know where you're at and put you in the right spot for you to be able to do the things that you need to do. If I change something like back here, like if I press pause here, you can see that it automatically updates everything, and it should be quite intuitive. Okay, looks like he actually started pressing right a little earlier. I found that just by looking at kind of where things were there. Okay. Like I said, it doesn't have to be absolutely frame perfect, but it can be. In fact, Nifsky recreated his own run, and it's like, I think it's literally like perfect. maybe some, like maybe 1 or 2 button presses in the water section in 8.4, and that's the only thing that's different about it. So it's actually quite incredible. The emulator on the left, the emulator here is using Nestopia. A kind of hacked version of Nestopia. I mean, well, not really hacked per se, but stuck in here. And so the quality should be really good. And I think I lined that up correctly. Trying to recreate while I talk. No, so you can see that I was probably a little bit too fast on that exit here compared to our subject. So I'm not sure. Maybe it looks like I kind of ended up a little farther, so maybe less right presses. Sometimes like the whole sub-pixel thing and whatever, it can be a little non-intuitive. So if you're familiar with the game, it's going to be actually a lot easier for you. Let's see, did I slow down an adequate amount? I could probably slow down a little bit more. You don't want to get too precious about it. Like I said, we have a lot to go through, so I'm just gonna, I will get a little precious about it here, but give me just a second. Okay, now I'm lined up a lot better. It was actually really easy. Just had to change those left presses around just a little bit. If you are doing a much faster run than this one, like so, make sure that you know how to do the tricks and stuff. You can, of course, just pop into the Discord and ask, and we'd be happy to help you out. You can also download any of the other recreations and look at them and see how those tricks are done. So here, I'm just going to jump a little lower using 4. Okay, maybe a little earlier. Nope, that looks good enough for me. And then scroll through. So now this part, it doesn't matter. We just scroll through. You want to make sure that you show up on the same frame or approximately the same frame. The fact that these are not right could be a sync issue. Like I said, you're allowed to kind of play with the sync a little bit throughout. It's never going to be exact, okay? Unless you're nifty, I suppose. And then we'll get those. The hotkeys are so important. Learn the hotkeys and you will be golden. So let me just get through the rest of 1-2 and I'll pop in if anything interesting comes up. Alright, so just coming up here on the end of 1-2, just getting these left presses situated. What is going on? Oh, I guess he did it a little later. That would happen? Yeah, I suppose so. Sometimes it can be a little tricky. Sometimes you gotta play around a bit to find what someone was doing. And yeah. Okay, anyway, it looks close enough. And, whoops, he presses left a little bit longer than that. But yeah, so 1-2, normally not that bad, unless I suppose they're doing some kind of like fancy trick and frame perfect nonsense. You gotta look. Sometimes they'll press left. There's actually quite a bit of leeway in 1-2, so sometimes people take advantage of that. So you just gotta watch out for that. 4-1 is normally really easy. Almost everyone just holds B right the whole way, and just run and jump and just use those hotkeys. One thing I forgot to mention earlier is that if you don't want to hold B and write the whole way yourself and do that every single time, there is a template which you can just plop into the directory. You can find that on the Discord, and it just kind of has some of that stuff. But then you got to fiddle with that. So half a dozen of one, or what? 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I don't know what I'm saying. All right, and that's 4-1. On to 4-2. 4-2 is a little bit harder. Again, at the start of every level, make sure that you are on the correct frame rule. Excuse me. And yeah, 4-2 is a little harder because we definitely have some left presses here and some things to watch out for. So let's see what happens. Definitely hits this block, but then manages to stomp the first Goomba. He probably didn't hit left, did he? I don't know what he ends up doing with that, but it does look okay. No, looking good enough. Sometimes we do take some creative liberties here. Oh my gosh, what, he didn't jump. Okay. So yeah, this is what you come across sometimes. Sometimes you find a much right. Oh my gosh, what's going on here? Sometimes you end up with a tricky one, and that's just what happens. It's funny, you get a you have a different attitude towards people who throw in unnecessary jumps because you got to recreate them all. But that's fine. I think that really adds to the whole video, the whole experience, because you know that each of these Marios is like, you know, it's an actual person. We're not just coming up with stuff here fully. We are, you know, recreating what this individual was doing in their run, and that can be kind of fun. But this is going to be what's so great about this rendition of the visual leaderboard, because after this level, Nifsky will just be ahead of everyone. So I'm excited to see that. And let's see here. Sometimes this area can be tricky, especially if they do hit the pixel on the wall, and you want to make sure you get that. But looks like this guy didn't, and good enough. Oh, keep that left going, and now down. All right, and now definitely make sure that you are on the right frame rule. As before, you can see that they appear roughly the same time. 1 frame difference. That could just be a video thing. And yeah, 8-1. I did have a tricky 8-1 the other day where they definitely took advantage. They decided to lose that 21 frames, the frame rule that you would get with good judges. They decided to lose that, and they took advantage of that. They were pressing left to make a lot of their jumps easier, but then that made the recreation a little bit harder. Looks like, well, we haven't seen that yet. Of course, we'll have to see if this individual does that later. I like to get the right walking animation coming off these pipes whenever that happens, and I think that's just a simple touch. Also helps to make sure that you're like in the right space, because sometimes you can get totally out of sorts and be you know, in the wrong spot, right? And this is a good way to check if you are recreating everything before that correctly. If you find that something is going wrong, something isn't working, you know, pop it in the Discord, ask about it, and see, because you don't want to waste a lot of time when it's something that you did earlier. Especially soon, we're going to end up in 8-2, and this is really where, oh, looks like you did, yeah, this is really where making sure that you're on the right frame rule in the beginning is super important. So one thing I'm noticing here is that it could be that I am on, I'm not stomping this Koopa, and this is actually funny because this is exactly what I was just talking about. So I expect that I actually need to go back in 4-2 and enter the pipe a frame earlier or something. I'm going to give that a try. That can sometimes affect your, I don't know, some aspect of the game that I'm sure someone could tell us about in the comments. Actually, just going to try a frame later, make sure I'm still on the same frame rule, and then just see if that's going to allow me to stomp that guy. And yeah, see? And it did. That's you don't always run into that, but it happens enough to know about that trick. Just changing your frame on there can help. Especially, this can also be important for judges. I mean, I'm not gonna like yell at you or get mad if you do hit the first pixel of that star in order to get the right judges. I mean, even if the runner didn't, I don't know. I mean, you know, there's so many runs that we got to recreate. We want to be accurate, but we also don't want to spend hours and hours and hours on every single one. One thing is that doesn't autosave, so you can hit File Save. It just creates the FM2 in the directory. That's Control-S. Actually, adding autosave would be a pretty easy job, I think, if someone wanted to give that a go. Open a pull request, huh? And there we go, 8-1 done. Always good time to check in between levels. Always make sure you're on the right frame rule when you exit a stage. Looks like I could update my sync just a little bit here. And also, make sure you got the right points and the right coins, and if not, I mean, go back, try and find it, fix it, and off we go. This is the time to check your starting sync. You want to make sure that these cannons and all these enemies are doing the right thing. If you had your initial sync wrong, so see, we can see bullet bills coming out on both the emulator and in the video, so that's good. That means we're on the right, that we were on the right starting frame roll. If they're doing wrong, there are some hotkeys to help you fix that. You go back, you fix the sync, and then there's methods even right here. We can insert frames and delete frames, and a few other things that can help you synchronize it, and you won't lose all your work having to update everything. But yeah, now's the time to check that out. In 8.2 and I mean really every stage, make sure you're hitting enemies on the right time and stuff, because that can have a big impact. Yep, so it does come down. And this is a tricky spot, so speedrunners, oh man, he stomped him. Speedrunners always slow down here in, generally, I shouldn't say always, but slow down here in order to get this this jump across the pipe here. So what I like to do is I like to get my height right, but you can see that they're diverging. So the emulator is far ahead of the video here. So I get my height right. I look at what pixel he lands on, and then I start adjusting right and adding left and so on in order to line these things up. Yeah, sometimes you got to play with it. It's not the easiest thing. So here you can see I actually slowed down too much because I don't have the jump speed. So just got to play with it, especially if it's a run with the bullet bill glitch. You're well, if it's a run with a bullet bill glitch, you really got to pay attention to this part. If your bullet bill glitch is not going good, come back here and see if that is why. Yeah, he definitely pressed right quite a bit earlier. But yeah, so the end of 8.2 is a really important thing, and we are able to get those bullet bill glitches pretty good most of the time. So, you know, take your time and you'll get it. What's going on here? I'm like a frame maybe early on the jump. Let's just see. Whoa, he definitely slowed down. Another good place to check here is make sure your Koopa's doing the same, your Para-Koopa's doing the same thing, and the bullets are doing the same thing. Looked like I got pretty lucky. Commonly, I'll have to go back and adjust things, but this time I got it. So that's what I was talking about earlier about it sometimes being satisfying. Sometimes it can be really awesome to get, especially in 8.4, which we're going to see in just a little bit. 8.4 has a bunch of rooms with these random elements, and if you get them frame perfect, it's satisfying. This run didn't have a bullet bill glitch, but I will just talk about it really briefly. If you are recreating a run with a bullet bill glitch, I mean, you just gotta like fiddle with it until you get it right. If they have a lag frame, you also have to have a lag frame. If the points are, you know, different, you have to get the right points. So definitely with a bullet bill glitch, it's going to take you a little bit more time fiddling around to make sure that you get it. If you need help, ask on the Discord or look for another run with a similar bullet bill glitch and use that to guide you on what the inputs are. Really take your time with those. Okay, here we're seeing something funny going on. You can see that we have the right hammers on this guy on the left, but on the emulator, this hammer bro has pulled out a hammer, but this one hasn't. And I'm also noticing a little bit of a discrepancy. It definitely looks like this guy hit left, slowed down a bit in the air. That can be hard to spot. You got to watch out for that. Let's see if adding a little left press there make some changes. Yeah, definitely did, right? So you gotta keep your wits about you. These speedrunners, you know, they do some crazy things now and then, and goes under him. Okay, all right, okay. Maybe I need another frame. So this is a common way of doing these stairs where they don't don't have right pressed, or is it don't have B pressed? What is it? Yeah, don't have B pressed. And just pop up there. And then they repress it at some point and off they go. So let's see. All right. So we'll just double check. 8-4. This one is the most, can be the most tedious. It kind of sucks because it's right at the end. So you've done all this work. It can be the most tedious or the most satisfying. It really depends on how closely you're paying attention and how, well, frankly, how good the video quality is. We've been quite fortunate. We had a 60 frame per second video, but on a 30 frame per second video, okay, you know, you're going to have a little bit harder. We've had as low as 15 frames per second video, and like, good grief. All right, this guy's a jumper. Okay, hitting all these, you know, these jumps here. Fine, fair enough. Okay, so yeah, you want to get every room right if you can, and luckily you will have some ways of checking. So this first room, most people don't lose time here, but some, I think I did in my personal best. But yeah, so just kind of like, you know, keep your eyes open, and we'll see. No, he does go for the jump across. Oh, and an extra jump. Fair enough. And in. Okay. I make sure I got the right walking animation, and then I just kind of add in a down press. And yeah, looks like I got that right. Okay, so now this room, the first thing you're going to want to watch for, are they walking off the pipe? Let's see what this guy is doing. Yep, definitely walking off the pipe. So we get rid of B, presses, and we press B somewhere in the air. This is a great strategy. And take your time in these rooms. Sometimes there'll be a down press in here. You got to watch out for. People will fit that in to make the wall jump a little easier, but let's see what goes on. Got the right walking animation. That's a late. That felt like a really late jump from him, but let's see. Okay. And he does get it. I might be one frame synced wrong. Yeah, that feels fine. Okay. Yeah. All right. All right, that actually went, I think that went really well. I think that went really, really well. But I might have just got lucky. We'll see what the cheap cheaps always tell you how you did. So, what are we looking for here? No cheap. Oh, look at that. Okay, I'm happy with that. Good enough for me. Got quite fortunate there. Sometimes you have to play around, jump, go down the pipe a frame earlier or a frame late. And yeah, again, I'm right now what I'm doing is I'm just getting the jump height correct, and then I'll come back and add in any left presses or whatever. Whoop, not that many. And we'll just, yeah. Kind of play with it until we get it right. That looks pretty good. That looks better. Wow, I got very fortunate. Oh, even look at that. I got very fortunate on the cheaps there. Sometimes that can be a lot harder. And yeah, down. Okay, got quite, wow, that went well. So then we'll check out the water section. So the water section, I'm just gonna leave the B in rights. Here, those hotkeys are really gonna come in handy, and a good understanding of swimming in Super Mario Bros. Will help you. So basically, you watch for Mario to kind of pop up, and then if you hold A, you actually go down farther. So here you can see how I'm kind of deviating. So my emulator is much higher than the video, and if I just hold A longer, you can see it kind of come down. Now the other thing is maybe they held A here as well, or they pressed A a little earlier. So you kind of got to play with it. Now, if you don't get the right bloopers or bubbles, you know, that's fine. That's fine. Just get the right time. I think, you know, that's okay. That's okay. Here's a spot to look out for. A common thing to do is if they touch down, which this guy did for 1 frame. Wow, I even got my jump touching down at the right time. If they touch down, they might have been holding the down button, and if they are, then that can impact their speed. That can make it so that it's a little bit so actually that they lose less time. So that could be a trick for your... Oh my gosh, he touches down here, does he? Yeah, he does. So that can be a trick for your speedruns, to hold down and stuff. Watch if that's what you want to do. Sorry, it's hard to talk and recreate at the same time. Okay. I'm just... I'm surprised that he touched down here, I guess. So, but we will faithfully add that in. And we'll have to see. Yeah, I'm not getting the exact right bubbles. But that's okay. We'll see about any lost time at the door here. Okay, so he definitely lost more time than I am currently. Sometimes I'll kind of... Okay, well, I'm actually going to go in. I believe this is the wrong frame. I believe this is fast, but I'm going to show you how to deal with that. It might be right, but... So anyway, jump. Make sure you do the right thing. Stomp the hammer brother if they stomp the hammer brother. And so on. Yeah, I feel fast here. But I'm getting the right... Yeah. Okay, good. So we are... Are we different? What the heck? Oh, man. Okay, what's going on? Yeah, we definitely have a different pattern, but I want to get through to see it. Oh, looks like I ran out of being right. Okay, so yeah, we definitely have a different pattern. So in the video, of course, you match the video. So the video has this 1, 2, 3, bop, 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 and I'm getting like 5 up here and so on. And I think it was because I was a frame fast in the water section. But a good way to check it if you want. Okay, so I'm just going to pull up the spreadsheet here again, and we were doing this one. So this link brings you to the speedrun.com submission for it, and we can see 458.725. So you can go to either SumWest or 3Creepio or whatever website you like, but put that in there. So 458.725, and this one had no offset. And sorry about that. Yeah, just checking, and it looks like they had lost 1 frame on the axe, so that's why. They were this one here. So they were this pattern. And what pattern did we have? We had this pattern, right? If I remember correctly. So we were 2 frames too fast to get the right pattern. So we need to lose those 2 frames. So I'm not entirely sure where they were lost, but to me, it did look like they were lost here on the entrance. So yeah, I'm going to lose those frames somehow. Okay, the fire looks good. I went a little crazy. I went back and lost time somewhere else, but now back in the earlier section. Not just on the exit, which I think made more sense. And whoopsie, it looks like we are good now. But remember, we found out that this run did lose a frame on the axe, so we have to do so as well. And there we go. Done. And the hammers are right, and then you're done. And so then you can use the Control W to quit, and it'll save. And then if you look in your directory, you will have the FM2 file. Now this, now back here in the spreadsheet, you are going to go to this link to upload your results. Follow that, put your Discord name in and the FM2. I will double check it, and then eventually it'll show up right here alongside everyone else who has recreated runs. So thank you again to everyone who's recreated runs. If you want to give this a go, it's definitely worth it. It can be quite fun. Pop over to the Discord, follow the find the spreadsheet, follow the instructions, download everything. Oh, looks like I got to update that. And we'll be back again in a week or two with another update on how things are going. So thank you so much, and we'll talk soon. Bye.